Tonight, a little bit of normality just a shot away.
It's actually fairly mind-boggling, the amount of progress that we've made.
New CDC guidance opens the door to visit friends and family and hold them close, so long as you're vaccinated.
Now, one Colorado county is looking at a massive rule rollback, considering whether it should ask the state to ditch all COVID restrictions.
In the end, I didn't get Kelsey back, and that's what I wanted more than anything.
A long fight to get justice for a Denver woman. Her boyfriend now facing life in prison for murder. The verdict, small comfort to her still grieving family.
And battling to contain the cost of care. A new push to knock down prescription drug prices in Colorado.
People shouldn't have to choose between putting food on the table or their health.
This week, 1 year ago, our lives were forever changed.
The NBA has suspended its season indefinitely. We have confirmation of community spread of the coronavirus in Denver.
Breaking news on this Friday. We are minutes away from an update from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, where health officials will announce Colorado's first death due to the coronavirus.
Wow. And here we are 12 months later. I mean, look at this now. We have 3 working vaccines. COVID case numbers are way down, and now the CDC is laying out guidance for those who've gotten the shot to do something we have missed all year, spend quality time with family and friends.
Can't wait. Good evening and welcome to Denver7 News at 10. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. We're glad you're with us tonight. So what do these new guidelines mean for us? If you are fully vaccinated, the CDC says you can visit other vaccinated people indoors. No masks, no social distancing. You can visit unvaccinated people if they're all from the same household and at low risk for severe illness.
Yeah, we have come a long way. And this is a big win for vaccinated grandparents who haven't been able to hug their grandkids in months. By the way, you are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving the final vaccine dose.
And on the same day the CDC issues this new guidance, Douglas County says they're now ready for things to get back to normal.
Just in the last few hours, we have learned county commissioners will introduce a petition tomorrow to reopen the entire county. The petition cites COVID infections and hospitalization rates that have come down, saying they believe it's time for people to exercise their own personal responsibility to determine how best to protect their health and financial interest. Now, the county admits it does not have the power to green light reopening without state level approval.
So is it too early to reopen, or is Doug Coe getting it right? We want to hear from you on this. Email us, please, 360@thedenverchannel.com. And we have 360 coverage all day for you tomorrow, looking at multiple perspectives on this issue.
So think back a year ago, Wuhan, China was in lockdown. The region at the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak faced tough restrictions.
But today, across China, looks like business as usual. As Denver7's Sloan Dickey reports, one Coloradan is there to see their rebound play out.
When I walk around, it's almost as it was, before a year ago.
Coloradan Alexei Grosjean's life is...
Those grocery stores are full. Restaurants are full.
Back to normal.
The bars are, happening.
But he doesn't live in Texas or Mississippi.
2 years ago, if I had transported myself like here I am today and just walked around, I almost wouldn't even know that anything happened.
Hello. He lives in China, a country that was once the epicenter of COVID-19. But he's been living this normal life, working as a teacher, for quite a while.
So probably around the middle of March. Is when things started to reopen.
March of 2020.
Now, because we've been back to normal for so long that I don't think it enters anyone's mind at all, ever.
In China, it took a strict 2-month lockdown to contain the virus and reopen.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's just obviously what it takes.
In the United States, it will take a vaccine.
It's actually fairly mind-boggling, the amount of progress that we've made.
Nurse Laura Ann Cleveland of Presbyterian St. Luke says we've come a long way and we should be proud of our progress.
We can get together with family. We can get together with friends.
Just today, the CDC released new guidelines saying people who are vaccinated can gather once again without masks or social distancing.
We're taking steps in the right direction. We're getting to the point where we can relax some of those precautions.
We're still not in the clear just yet. Medical professionals advising unvaccinated individuals to maintain social distancing and to wear masks for the time being. but it's a major step.
It's going to be very interesting, the United States that I come home to then, versus the one that I left.
A glimmer of hope into our future, and Alexei says he's excited for his American friends to experience what he's lived for the past year.
My friends will be able to start hanging out with each other again, and then hopefully I can join them soon.
Normalcy. Sloan Dickey, Denver7.
And with the updated guidance from the CDC, some are wondering now if the vaccine's your ticket to get back to the office. Now, for a lot of us, this is what work looked like in 2020. You're hunched over a laptop on the sofa or somewhere like that, taking your meetings on Zoom. Well, with the vaccine rollout picking up now, the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce is upbeat about the prospect of getting back to the workplace soon.
Having multiple vaccines that are coming out quickly, people are getting them in Colorado. We're still protecting each other, those who haven't been vaccinated like me. I do think we should be optimistic. We're going to get back to work this year.
And now that the first round of Johnson & Johnson vaccine is in Coloradans' arms, we heard from a few of you who reported headaches, nausea, fever, and fatigue after. And because the vaccine is new, I checked with a couple of hospitals to see if they were getting more reports of people with severe side effects related to J&J compared to the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Well, National Jewish tells me they aren't seeing any differences. Centura Health also checked with their ERs to see if there was a notable uptick related to the new vaccine. They told me no. The symptoms for all three vaccines are pretty similar, and what isn't clear is why some people handle it better than others.
Justice for a pregnant Denver woman did not come quickly. Kelsey Shelley disappeared 8 years ago.
She's never been found, and today her boyfriend was convicted of murdering her, and Dante Lucas was sentenced to life in prison.
Liz Gilardi's been following this case and talking with Shelley's family for years now, and tonight she shares their reaction.
She was just so full of life, and I just missed everything about her.
Laura Saxton spent 8 years fighting for her daughter, fighting for justice for Kelsey Shelley. But time didn't dampen the shock of a guilty verdict.
I'm sorry, I honestly, right now, I just honestly don't know what to say.
On February 4th, 2013, Shelley drove from Denver to Pueblo to visit her boyfriend, Dante Lucas. She was 8 weeks pregnant. Her first doctor's appointment was earlier that day, where she saw an ultrasound image of the baby. She made it to Pueblo, but what happened next remained a mystery.
It was pretty apparent that he tried to prevent her from going to the doctor.
During that interview with her mom in 2017, Lucas was only considered a person of interest. He was charged with first-degree murder later that year.
I will just say that justice was served today.
Justice took time, but the verdict was quick, with deliberations lasting only a few hours. Even without a body, evidence presented in court was enough for a conviction. The prosecution painted a picture of a troubled relationship with a history of domestic violence.
I think that the evidence was so compelling of the domestic violence relationship between Kelsey and Dante, and the jury heard essentially 2 weeks of that evidence.
Cell phone records and surveillance video also proved to be critical. Videos show him driving her car at multiple locations around Pueblo, like the Walmart where they were supposed to meet, and a bank where he used her debit card to take out $400.
There were times I thought we would never get to trial. That's how dire things seemed. But I just didn't want to give up. I couldn't give up on Kelsey. I just couldn't.
And Saxton still isn't giving up. Although the guilty verdict is a victory, she wants a gravesite, a proper burial.
In the end, I didn't get Kelsey back. And that's what I wanted more than anything.
Shelley's mom says she's not quite sure what she's going to do next. She spent much of her time over the past 8 years as a fierce advocate for her daughter. And she's also been an advocate for all missing persons in Colorado and is responsible for an annual day to honor all of the missing in the state. In the newsroom tonight, I'm Liz Gilardi.
For some, the cost of care leads to tough choices, like choosing between the medicine you need or putting food in the fridge.
And now state lawmakers are looking outside our borders for solutions. As Denver7 CB Cotton reports, if this plan works, it could be life-changing for some Coloradans.
The medication has to be refrigerated.
Every trip to the pharmacy gave David Wasserman a chance to survive while his wallet suffered.
I had been paying $10,000 a year to get this medication.
Medication for Wasserman's Crohn's disease, an inflammatory bowel disease that can range from mild to debilitating.
It was in 2009. I was having trouble sleeping and I woke up and I was vomiting blood.
Wasserman credits his medication with saving his life.
This medication that I'm holding up right here is called Humira. I have to inject myself with it once a week for the rest of my life.
This weekly injection costing a lot.
My income would basically be rent, health insurance, copay, deductible. Then I had $80 left over.
Fortunately, Wasserman has better coverage now, but he says many are still stuck choosing between the cost of care, food, or rent.
There's no other option.
But now, Colorado Democrats are trying to open a door to affordable prescription drug prices.
We are announcing the introduction of a bill to create a prescription drug affordability board.
The Prescription Drug Affordability Board would create a panel of nonpartisan experts to investigate prescription drug cost increases and set up guardrails for the state's most costly prescriptions. On Monday, Governor Jared Polis announced the legislation with the bill's 4 sponsors.
This effort here is really one of the first steps towards giving Colorado consumers, empowering them with the leverage they need to negotiate better prescription drug rates.
Rates that Governor Polis says have ripped off Coloradans.
Take Xeljanz, a common rheumatoid arthritis medication, that according to the National Academy of State Health Policy, it's $76 in the U.S., $17 in Canada.
If the bill passes, the board would make policy recommendations to legislators, policy that Polis says will keep Coloradans healthier.
1 in 10 have skipped doses because they simply weren't able to afford the cost of prescription drugs.
People shouldn't have to choose between putting food on the table or their health.
CB Cotton, Denver7.
This is actually our first time out since March of last year.
Tired of being cooped up through the pandemic? Some are ready to hit the road and get away from it all.
We're not going to live scared.
And there are big changes for would-be travelers.
This balance we have to strike between supporting our neighbors and staying safe.
The business is working to rebound by welcoming travelers back safely.
It is the warm before the storm. We could see a big snowstorm by the end of the week.